Oh, fantastic. And really, delighted to have you on. We connected and we had a terrific conversation, a quite a deep conversation quickly off the bat. And it just, for me, it's on a subject that people often avoid or don't like talking about. It's one of those taboo subjects, and that's on grief. And given that you've got lots of expertise and experience around helping clients through the grief process that you help them through, I think you're going to be a fantastic guest today. So really delighted to have you on the show.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. It's such an important conversation, and you're right, we don't have enough of these conversations.
And just before we get really deep into this conversation, I'd really like the listeners to better hear about how you've arrived at what you're doing today.
Yeah, I mean, my background is it's organizational development, human resources, leadership development, and I started my coaching journey about 10 years ago, becoming a life coach. And just before COVID hit, like 2 weeks before, I went full time into my coaching business. I was living your best life, extraordinary mindset coach, doing all these wonderful things. And then 2 weeks later, it was the 14th of March, 2020. It was the weekend Melbourne went into lockdown. My 18-year-old son was in a car accident. His name's Aaron. Aaron never came home. So Aaron died on scene, and like literally in the blink of an eye, my whole life imploded. And not just personally, but professionally as well. Because how can you be living your best life and doing all that stuff? But the thing that I learned, I mean, I was a life coach, but I was absolutely blindsided by, and anyone will be in that situation, of course, but absolutely blindsided by the grief and the trauma that I experienced. And within 2 weeks, I was having heart palpitations, severe chest pain. It was moving into my throat. I had my digestive system literally shut down. I lost 5 kilos in that first week, and I was eating. I just, I actually thought I was going to die. I was in so much pain physically, and had done enough work because of the life coaching to know that I knew I needed help, but I also knew I didn't need to go to a doctor, because a doctor would just prescribe me medication, because that's the medical model of the world that we live in. Australia has the second highest rate in the world for prescribing antidepressants and anti-anxiety medication. It's a real issue that we have. I knew I needed help. And when Aaron died, I was actually working at a festival, and I'd seen a facilitator. I was supporting her in the workshop space, and she took these people through a healing process, emotional healing. It's called self-directed healing. And it was the only thing I could think of that could support me. So I reached out to her and we did a session. Now, I went into that session with an objective to move the pain off my chest. Like, it was in my throat. I thought I had COVID, and I thought I wasn't even going to be able to get to my son's funeral. And within an hour and a half, all that pain, I kid you not, it had gone. Like, all that physical tightness and congestion, it just literally left. And even my speech was thick beforehand. And it's very hard to describe the depth of this type of pain, but it was like I was driving through a mountain range in the fog, and I couldn't see for the trees in front of me. And then all of a sudden, I could see again, and it was clear, and I could breathe again. Because one thing with grief is actually really hard to breathe. And I mean, it just blew me away. Like, I literally biologically shifted the chemicals in my body in in one session. So fast forward, I became a practitioner like 2 weeks later. It was like a lifeline. It gave me hope. It showed me that there was a way to navigate. And yet that is the reality that I now have to live. And that is the new life. Neurologically, I have to literally rewire my brain to go down a different path. And this is a path I don't want. So learning to live with that loss, learning to integrate that pain is my journey, and many grievers' journeys that are out there. But one of the core things I learned was how grief illiterate we are. We suck at grief. We suck at having the conversations. We don't know how to support ourselves. We don't know how to support others. And that's kind of my passion, is now through my work, I can honor Aaron through my loss, and help many, many other people through this experience.